everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Kirsty and this is Stuck in the Mud. Thanks for joining me today and taking those steps on your road to recovery from OCD and anxiety. As always, if you're finding my videos helpful, please remember to like the videos and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. In today's video, I want to discuss recovery from OCD is not about changing who you are as a person or changing your values. And what I've learned over the span of 40 years of living with OCD and anxiety and hearing from other people's experiences is that we are some of the most sensitive, kind, caring and empathetic people on the planet. And the reason we struggle so much is that the thoughts, the obsessions, the urges, whatever you may experience, it doesn't align with who you are or who you believe yourself to be. And because it's not you, this isn't you. This is a brain disorder called OCD. And none of this is our fault. And we just hate it. We hate it so much. I spent most of my life just wanting rid of it. And for years I went searching, for answers to solve my OCD and escape the torture of living with it on a daily basis. And it led me to a new realization, which I wanted to discuss in today's video. We don't need to change it or change us. Making peace with this has been life-changing for my recovery and my growth, because I now realize there are many good things actually that come from having this disorder. Like I mentioned, care and compassion, sensitivity to others' feelings. But that doesn't come without its challenges, of course. At times of life, we can feel so overwhelmed. We often feel like we're super plugged into the world's problems, and we overanalyze our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations to the nth degree. But once I stopped trying to fix it all and allowed myself to be present with whatever I was experiencing as a human being, things actually did get better. But I can hear you say, how can I be present with such dark, abhorrent, scary or even fearful thoughts? And I understand, because I tried to escape it for many, many years. But all I did was dig myself deeper into the pits of despair with OCD and anxiety. It was a never-ending cycle that just wouldn't stop. And this is how OCD and anxiety works. The brain knows, it's very clever. It knows when we're trying to rid ourselves of something, when we're trying to engage with it. We're giving it a lot of importance when we spend time with these thoughts, feelings, sensation, urges, whatever. We're trying to figure them out, trying to problem solve, analyze, overthink, and just pull it apart, trying to make sense of it all. The brain knows, and it's clever because it's like, this is important. I need to hang on to this so it doesn't release it or let it go. So that was definitely a learning curve for me, because I didn't realize I was actually making it worse for myself. And we're not aware that this is how it all works, how OCD operates, and how spending so much time over it actually makes it stronger and makes it stay longer when we're actually trying to achieve the opposite. But once we actually commit to healing and recovery, it doesn't mean we don't care anymore. And I think this is a common thing with people with OCD, myself included. OCD will try and make you believe that this is the case, and it will try and suck you back into the cycle and into its clutches. And it will often use tactics like, well, you must be a bad person then if you're not completing this ritual or trying to problem solve this intrusive thought. You're not a good person. But these are all unwanted thoughts. There is nothing enjoyable about having them. The more we resist their presence, though, the more they will bother us. You know, in turn, the more we will get them, you know, they will increase in volume. You know, and the more confused we will feel, because clarity over our thoughts actually comes when we don't engage with them. We don't engage in the obsessions or the rituals. One of the biggest lies of OCD is that it needs fixing, it needs solving, working out to gain certainty. And it's actually the opposite. You know, the most clarity we gain is when we actually resist engaging with it. So it's important not to try to change ourselves, and learn to accept and be present with whatever arises in our mind, which is going to feel pretty uncomfortable at first, and you're probably going to feel a rise in anxiety, but that will subside the more we practice this, and the more we become indifferent to whatever arises, and we move forward with our day as we should, because that is the basis of my recovery, is moving through it, allowing whatever is there in the mind to be there, not fixing it, not carrying out that ritual, letting it be there in the background, telling you to do this, do that, but not actually giving into it, not trying to stop it, not trying to push it away, just let it be there until it fizzes out and fades away on its own. And consistency really is key here. We realize we don't need to fear whatever the mind throws at us, because that doesn't define who you are as a person or what we're about. You know, you are still that kind, caring person, and that should be celebrated. We're not changing who we are as a person. We're just finally deciding not to live with OCD running the show anymore. You know, we're gaining our freedom, you know, back from this truly awful disorder. You know, let OCD throw its tantrum when you don't engage with it. You know, let those intrusive thoughts sit with you until they dissolve. You know, don't complete that ritual that OCD is, just like I said, telling you to do. It's an amazing revelation when we realize that the approach to gaining our freedom back from OCD is much simpler than we originally thought. But we should, like I said, never try to stop it or push it away. You know, let it all move through you. You know, the thoughts, the feelings, the urges, the bodily sensations, whatever it may be, let it be there and sit with you. Allow is really key here. Getting your life back from OCD is the byproduct of doing all of these things. And you gain that clarity, like I said, when you realize that all this trying to solve it and fix it is not working. It's not going to work. That is not going to get you better. But allowing OCD to be there and not dictate to you what you should think, say, feel, you just move through it. You let it have its say, but you don't engage with it. You allow it to be there. And you realize that you just become so indifferent to what it's saying. You're just like, oh, you know, there it goes again. What have you got for me today? You know, you don't care the same. But it doesn't mean that you don't care about the context of it. You know, that is just completely different. You know, OCD is not who we are as people. It doesn't mean you don't care. And I struggled with this for so long, just because I thought, well, if I don't do this, then that must mean I'm a bad person. I'm not the kind, caring person I thought I was. But it was the complete opposite. You know, OCD lies so much, and we get so caught up in that, and we just want to be sure, so we engage with it, and we're just actually making it a whole lot worse for ourselves. But we don't know any different. But like I said, if we can just learn to allow it, let it sit with us, let it move through us without actually engaging with it, that is where you will see true progress on your recovery journey. So I really hope this video has helped you today to see that, you know, OCD does not define you. You are so much more than your thoughts. So let me know in the comments how you relate to this, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.